Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Thrive. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Fay Chan. Fay is a clinical EFT practitioner. And oh my gosh, first of all, welcome.
Hi, Carly. It's so good to be here.
It's so good to have you here. And I just love, like, Faye and I, we used to work in the corporate world together. We've
Mm.
just worked out, it was 11 years ago, and we just recently reconnected through a Facebook group. And I just love the power of social media. Funniest.
Yeah. I saw you and I went, oh, that's Carly. That's Carly. I must text
Is it that, Carly?
her. Yeah.
Oh, I know. So it's super cool. It's so great to connect with you again. And I'm really excited to sort of hear like how your whole journey has unfolded from the corporate world. But first of all, just let us know like who is Faye and what do you do?
Well, I'm a tapping practitioner. I'm also a mentor at EFT Universe. That's where I'm certified. So I
Mhm.
help students through their certification process. So it's quite rigorous, and I'm one of the mentors that guides the students through.
Oh, cool.
So I love it. And I've been a practitioner for 5 years now.
Wow.
And previous to that, I was a budgeting coach. And then previous to that, I was a maternity leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a mum. I live in Melbourne and I work online mainly. So
Yeah.
I pretty much work with anybody anywhere in the world.
How good. How good that we can
Yeah.
do that now.
I know, it's so good. I mean, I had to pivot during COVID.
Of
And
course.
then I found that my results were actually, for clients, were actually more accelerated and even more so because it was online.
Is that right? That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, because we don't have to share the same environment. They're
Mhm.
in their comfortable place.
Yeah.
They're safe where they are.
Mhm.
And there's a bit of a space between my screen and their screen,
Yeah.
right? And they don't need to deal with the fact that they might break down and cry or have to share something deep and dark with me,
Yeah.
um, and and actually deal with the space.
Yeah.
So that element of what I need to take care of in terms of being the facilitator isn't there. So I
Yeah.
go straight in. So it's pretty cool that way.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what a cool way for you to be able to figure that out, right? You kind of were forced into this pivot, which probably at the time was like, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's yeah, forced into it. So I went, okay, let's just do that. Yeah.
Let's roll with it. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So maybe first of all, do you want to share a little bit about what EFT tapping is? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who've kind of heard of it. They've seen it as a modality.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's dive into what exactly it is.
Yeah. So EFT tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually 48 techniques that you can learn inside the modality, right,
Wow.
to use with the client.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a somatic, so body-based therapy that
Mm-hmm.
uses talk therapy as well. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
bit of an East meets West sort of modality. So the Eastern side is obviously the acupressure points. So
Mm-hmm.
you're using your fingertips to pulse on an algorithm of points. That's why it's called clinical EFT, because
Mm-hmm.
that's actually tested in clinical trials. And so you tap on those specific points whilst the practitioner is creating the script for you. And the scripting is based on cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the talk therapy element because you need to bring it up, you need to talk about it,
Yeah.
but then you're using the EFT to neutralize the, I guess, the trauma, the stress that's actually stored in the body because we are like our emotions are actually in our bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what EFT is. So we tap and we talk about it,
Mm.
and that action actually aims to unhook. And it's the job of a practitioner to find a specific event or the source code, basically, that
Yeah.
got installed in your supercomputer brain for your subconscious,
Yeah.
right? To find that and uninstall it for you. So it's called the rewiring, as you guys may have. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is being. It's a lot more mainstream now, which is great.
Yeah.
It's very effective.
Yeah.
Children can learn it.
Yeah.
Older adults can learn it. Anybody can use it, anywhere, anytime.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's the thing I think that I love so much about it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can do it by yourself as well. Like, can you guide yourself once you're sort of familiar with the practice?
you can guide yourself insofar that you use it to self-regulate and
Ah,
use
okay.
it to feel better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Let's just say someone cut you off on the roads, you'll be angsty. You're about measuring about 7 or 8 out of 10 because you're just really pissed off.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you tap just to calm yourself down a few notches, down to say a 3 or 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that's enough for you to have more of a clear head to drive safely,
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
Or you've had a fight with your partner, you need to calm down. That brings it down a few notches,
Yeah.
right? The tapping. Now, so you can use that for yourself to self-regulate, to maintain, to feel better, but to transform and unhook and rewire. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think it's highly unlikely. You're too
Yeah.
close to the trees to see the forest.
Yeah.
And, when you're trying to unhook a trauma or unhook a specific thing, sometimes because you're in your own body, in your own experience, you'll just write it off as, oh, that was just a statement. It was just something I'd say off the roll. It rolls off my tongue.
Yeah, yeah.
As a practitioner, I'll catch it. I
Yeah.
know something's not okay about what you said or a belief system about that.
Mhm.
I can hear it and I can see it outside of you.
Mm,
Whereas if you're inside yourself, you can't hear it or see it because you're in it.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
to unhook, to transform, it's not easy.
Mm,
Not by yourself anyway. I don't even do that with myself. I still tap with a practitioner once every fortnight. And I've
yeah.
been doing
Okay,
that
nice.
solidly for 5 years.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, how cool. So, I mean, look, let's talk about what maybe some of the things or some of the things that you've rewired that you're comfortable with sharing,
Yeah.
that you've been able to rewire within yourself through practicing EFT.
Yeah. So I think it was in 2019. So I had just freshly certified
Yep.
and I wanted to put out workshops,
Hmm.
in-person workshop. This is like before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I'm always fantastic with one-on-ones. In
Hmm.
fact, that's my jam, and I still love it up
Yeah.
until today, right? Still
Yeah.
really love it. Um, but back then in 2019, I really wanted to put myself out there
Hmm.
for an in-person workshop, like on self-worth, on visibility, on manifestation, those sort of topics.
Yeah.
And I was petrified. I
Mm-hmm.
was really, really scared. And I knew that the only way to go through this was to go through with it.
Right. Yes, exactly.
and um and so I tapped and I tapped and I tapped. And even though I made myself feel better, it
Yeah.
was still the action of pushing publish on Eventbrite,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Setting up everything, the pictures and what have you, the write-ups, but then it's the pushing the button, making it publicly available.
Hmm.
And it was that action that really was my breakthrough as such. And I started crying afterwards because I realized I was asking the world to love me.
Mm. Wow.
If they were to buy from me, I'm asking them to love me
Yeah, wow.
and love me publicly, not a one-on-one where they can get to know me, they're engaged, they're really enrolled in who I am, they've already sussed me out, all that stuff, but
Hmm.
you're putting it out to the wider public.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a real breakthrough in loving myself because I'm asking the world to love me. Now,
Yeah,
I had no idea that was going to turn up,
of course.
right? But yeah, I had to push publish and I had to go book a place
Yep.
and I had to now start to pump the event,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So with the tapping, as much as it really worked to help me propel forward, inspire me, and motivate me to that point, but the point of when you have to jump off that cliff as such,
Yep.
you got to do the jumping, mate. No amount of tapping is going to have you jump without feeling like you're going to dive down halfway and you hope your wings open up.
Yep.
Right? You got to
Yep.
jump, and that was my jumping.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And wow, that's so cool. And I think a lot of our audience are going to resonate with that because there's a lot of sort of people out there I know at the moment that I've been speaking to are like, I'm so scared to put myself out there. I don't feel confident enough yet, or, I don't necessarily believe in myself yet. I don't
Yeah.
believe in what I'm, that I'm good enough for people to come and buy from me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like, yes, we have these modalities to be able to support us, but at the end of the day, like you've still got to make the decision to actually go and do it and to dive in head first.
Yes. Yeah. I had a client come tap with me for about, gosh, 6 to 9 sessions just on raising her remedial massage pricing by, I think, $8.
Oh, wow. Yep.
It wasn't much,
Yep.
but that was enough to trigger what was holding her back from way back when she was her teens.
Yeah.
And she had no idea that was what was coming up.
Yeah.
So again, as much as I tapped with her through those several sessions, I was still touch base with her to go, so how was it on day one of your raised prices?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because she still had to go and raise it and ask for the $8 extra
Yes.
and put out notices and actually action those things that commit her to the increase in price. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's $1 or $300, right? You gotta be willing to break through that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's only so much a practitioner can do, right? Yeah. You've got to go
Yeah.
into the action.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I do set homework.
Yeah. Yes.
When people
Very,
that are
very
work
wise.
about business or about visibility or about sales or asking people for money or whatever
Yeah.
it is, well, there's all good. I can tap till the cows come home with you, but I do set homework because I
Yeah.
really want to see it actioning in real life.
Of
And if in
course.
real life something triggers up underneath of the action, then
Yeah.
great, bring that to the next session and we'll unlock it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
until you're there, it doesn't come up.
Exactly. It's like I can kind of I can really relate to that actually. I've been doing a lot of work on how I show up in relationships, right? And how I have shown up in relationships in the past and working through my triggers and that sort of
Uh-huh.
thing. But there's also this part of me that knows very well that there's going to be a lot for me that does come up when I do next get into another relationship that I can't
Yes.
see yet.
No.
So it's the same kind of thing, isn't it? It's like you
Yeah.
actually need to practice it and be doing it for you to be able to then still see what is still under the surface.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
I know.
And
I'm like, yeah, just even in dating, in gosh, like kids do it so easily. I'll give
yeah,
my son $4 to go
yeah,
to the farmer's market to buy his cookies or whatever. And cookies are no longer $2, they're like 3.50.
yes,
But he's daring enough to pull out $2 without me there. Otherwise
yeah.
they'll look at the parent and go, I've only got $2 for this cookie. And he gets it.
Stop, does he?
He comes running back with the $2 cookie that's meant to be 3.50. Right? I mean, he can turn on the charm, he's
Yes,
little, all that stuff. But,
I love that.
like it's more the tenacity, the vivaciousness, the vibrancy, the daringness that kids have that we somehow just silence ourselves through time. And
Yeah,
so in dating, you don't ask to go, well, you and I might go, what's your debt level like?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what am I signing up to?
yes, yeah, yeah. What are the really important things that I want to know if I'm going to continue to see this person?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And for me, it's like, have you dealt with your addictions? Like, have you
Yeah,
dealt with smoking? Have you dealt with your blah, blah, blah,
yep,
blah?
absolutely. And
Yeah.
sometimes they might feel like uncomfortable questions to ask, but
Mm.
when you're thinking about what you want for your future, what you want long
Mm.
term, they are so important. And I know Carly in the past never would have asked those questions.
Yes.
My
And you
last
would know the red flags, just like you would know the red flags for yourself in business, but you won't know
absolutely.
yet. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. So let's talk about, how some of these kind of programs run our lives because I find this to be such an interesting conversation. Like I love
Mm.
this conversation. The way that we're operating today is a result of all these sort of these programs that have been installed into our computer systems, right? So just share a little bit, if you would, like your perspective on that.
Yeah, it's literally our truth. Like you actually think it's true that people are a certain way or
Yeah.
you're a certain way and you can't shift that. And it's very strong, it's very anchored, it's very stoic,
Yeah.
and it's just the way it is. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the sky's blue, the ground's over here, the grass is green, and this is the way I am.
Yeah.
And and unless you're willing to consider something different, it's
Mhm.
really hard to work with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and these sort of patterns have had anchoring since before you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a huge trunk of neurons, right? And it's very thick and it's very well versed and its survival is strong.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to defeat that with positive thinking, with positive affirmations. We're trying to make things look better and trying 10,000 different marketing strategies
Mm-hmm.
when what you need to shift is what's really underneath.
Yeah.
And so you got to really do the hard work. Like some people, even though they might want to do their business or work on their expression, they don't want to go looking in their past. They go, oh, the past is the past. It's like, yeah, but it's running your life.
Exactly. And it will
I don't want to
continue
look back
to.
there. I don't want to bring up my dad and my mom. You know, I don't want to. I'm sick of it. I've done this work for 10 years
Yes.
and I don't want to bring it up. It's like, what sort of work have you done for 10 years? Like, have you actually done the work or just read books and done
Yeah.
online courses? Not to
Yes.
say it doesn't work, but I'm just going, sometimes if those things don't actually throw you over, you
Mm-hmm.
need the one-on-one work then.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, everybody out there will be rich dad, poor dad,
Yeah.
right? Like just read a
Absolutely.
book and voila, I get programmed with that. No, you don't.
Yep, 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 exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so some of the programs that we sort of see in or that I sort of see in business is that, it's like
Mm.
it's not safe for me to be who I am. It's not, they don't feel safe to actually show up and share their truth. They don't feel safe to sell, right? Because there's like they have their own programs and connotations around what it means to actually
Yes.
sell, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so how do you help people move through that kind of stuff? Or what are even some things that you believe that they could start doing to start moving through this stuff?
When clients come to me and they say what you say, they say, this is like, it's pretty much the picture, right? It's like, this is the block that I'm encountering.
Yep.
And that's really the 10% of the iceberg that's above the water.
Yeah.
I really don't know, and neither would you, the 90% of the iceberg that's underneath.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So I've tapped with clients about busting through their own ceiling, and their abusive deceased brother comes up as a belief system in the tapping sessions because
Wow.
it's the brother that's going, you're good for nothing. Nobody's going to believe you, blah, 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 blah. And you were brought up with that for
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
So that's got grounding. So when you try and break through your own ceiling to put yourself out there, that's driving you.
Yes.
That's going, you're good for nothing. Why are you doing that? Nobody's going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Like, you should give up now, just get a normal job.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going on in the background.
Yeah.
But I don't know that would come up for that client until we started tapping
Yeah.
because it's so hidden. It's in
Mm.
your blind spot. You don't even know it's driving you.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I would say to people is I literally say, I don't know. I don't know what's driving it. Bob's your uncle,
Yeah.
really. I
Yeah.
don't know whether, like, I don't know, but you have to turn up. You have to turn up and do the work and discover whatever it is that's behind that door. It
Yeah.
might be scary. It might not be. It might go, oh my gosh, I said that to myself when I was 4 years old and that's driven my life since then. It's like, aha. And then
Yeah.
but once you unhook that, then it no longer drives that anxiety or drives, the gripping panic. And then all of a sudden you're there trying to get ready for a photo shoot or doing your first live video or turning up in a podcast and you're going, hang on, I usually feel nervous in my stomach and I start having this short of breath, but it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what happens,
Yeah. I love
right?
that.
But I cannot explain to you what you're going to expect. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's not blind faith, but because you're blinded by it, we need to uncover that, and that's the scary part. It
Yeah.
takes real courage to want to be willing to go into that. So it's not a walk in the park tapping with me,
Yeah.
but I love it. And the breakthroughs are phenomenal.
Yeah. And that's the
Mm.
real work, isn't it? Is actually like being courageous enough and being willing to go within and have someone guide you in a safe space to actually see what is in there, because we cannot change what we don't know. We can't change something if we can't see it. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the first step. And then do you sort of typically find, and you may or may not be able to answer this, but like, to actually unhook from these programs, does it happen fairly quickly or is it dependent on the person?
Um, I don't, again, it's a I don't know thing
Yeah.
because I can unhook, like, there was a client who came to me for smoking. It got unhooked in the first session,
Amazing. Wow.
right? I was thinking maybe session 5, maybe session 9, maybe session 12,
Yeah.
right? But it showed up and we got it.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and I've had clients come to me for like the massage therapist to raise her price. It took six to 9 sessions for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take, but you're going to experience a shift every single session anyway.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can't not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't not. And there'll be things that come up for you that you don't want to tell me, but
Yeah.
will come up for you again and again and again for like 3 months. And you're like, oh, hey, I have to tell you, right? Because your body doesn't lie. Your subconscious
Exactly.
doesn't lie. If it wants to bring it up, it'll bring it up.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
you'll cognitively try and suppress it, right? But it keeps on bringing it up. So I've
Yeah.
had clients say to me, Faye, I can't lie in your sessions, whereas I can lie to my psychologist,
Wow, that's so interesting, isn't it?
right? Because in talk therapy, your cognitive brain's still in control,
Yeah, okay.
right? So you can manipulate and maneuver the conversation
Yeah, yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But if I'm tapping with the body as to where's it stored, what memories underneath it, how come it's there, what is it about this particular topic, then your body will literally bring up the memory or give us the breadcrumbs to follow to Hansel and Gretel's house.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no escape,
Yeah, wow.
right? So you got to cough it up. But you're
Yeah.
coughing it up to me or across the screen. I don't know you from a bars. I'll end up knowing you a lot.
Yeah, I
I'm not
was
going
gonna
to say
say.
anything, right?
Yeah.
But you end up having got to need to just cough it up because it's about a release from your body.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you're harboring that and you harbor that, then eventually your body will say no much further down the track. But if it keeps on bringing it up, which I've had a few clients tell me, oh, it's come up in a few sessions, but I sort of skirted over that and it's kept on tapping back. I'm like, okay, what is it? And they
yeah.
have to cough it up.
Yeah, right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. And this is the thing, right? Like I guess a lot of people think that their traumas or their programs, memories are just stored in their brain as such, in their thoughts, but it's throughout their whole body, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because our emotions are actually inside cell peptides.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your prefrontal cortex, so your cognitive brain,
Yeah.
doesn't fully develop until you're about 25. And I would say probably 26 or 27 for boys,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That's why they're more risk takers,
yeah, yep,
right?
exactly.
And that's why, well, I don't understand why actuaries chose the age 25 years old for car insurance premiums to be
Oh,
higher.
of
But
course that makes
funny
sense.
that,
Yeah.
25, right? That's because your cognitive brain gets developed at the age of 25. And
Yeah,
so
wow.
if you're talking to a 50-year-old person about their trauma experience as a 15-year-old,
Hmm.
it's not stored in the prefrontal cortex to process.
Hmm.
Actually embedded in the body since you were 15.
Yeah.
And then your body will collect the evidence. And that's why when the familiar circumstance turns up, the same familiar feeling and sensation fires on.
Yeah.
And so you know that you keep your nervuses in your stomach and it feels like a rock, or you keep your disappointment around your chest and it
Yep.
feels like a heartbreak, or you
Yeah.
keep your anger around your jaw and it keeps, locking.
Yeah.
And so the body is going to tell you where it is,
Yeah.
but I need to find a source memory that had it embed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important to be paying attention to the body as well, isn't it? Like, just in your day-to-day life, like actually picking up on those cues and those different feelings and starting to kind of identify like, oh, okay, I felt this in my stomach when I did this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'd love to sort of talk a little bit about how you made the pivot, just kind of shifting gears now from the corporate world into your own business. Because again, this is something that, a lot of the people in my audience are either kind of have either done or are thinking about doing or who want to do one day. They want
Right.
to be able to leave their jobs to go all in on their business. And obviously
Yeah.
that takes an element of courage, right?
Oh
It
my
takes
gosh, yes.
yeah, it takes so much trust in yourself and belief that that you can do the thing, you can do what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
So I just love to sort of hear a little bit about your journey, maybe some of the thoughts and feelings that came up for you as you were
Yeah. There's
through.
two pivotal moments.
Yep,
The first one was back in 2005,
yep,
2004, 2005. I was at Accenture at that time. I was working at NAB, the client,
yep,
and I had done a personal development course at that time. It was 3.5 days. It was fairly intense. I actually loved it. And
yep.
that was pretty much my awakening.
That was
And I,
landmark, right?
yeah, it was landmark
Yes, yeah,
education, landmark Warren.
yeah,
And I saw in that who I was in that job, having done a double degree, was a result out of a decision I made when I was 7 years old.
oh wow,
Right when I brought my report card home, this was back in Malaysia,
yep,
and I got punished because in term two I got a lower grade.
oh,
Right, and I thought to myself, in order to be loved, I must perform. And so pretty much I started performing since I was 7 years old,
wow,
right? And and here I am at 20, gosh, mid 20s at that time,
yeah,
going, oh, so as myself as a 7-year-old made my decision for me for my career. So if that's what my 7-year-old wants to do, what do I want to do?
yeah,
And that was when I decided to choose that one more day over here in this corporate world, corporate job at Accenture meant one less day discovering who I was or what I'm passionate about.
yeah, wow,
So I literally resigned.
wow.
I was petrified in handing over. I was in tears. I was at NAB. I don't know which level it was. It was Burke Street. And my mentor from Accenture was at NAB as well.
Mhm.
And I handed him my resignation letter and I'm bawling my eyes out
Oh,
because I'm literally saying goodbye to all my programming I've ever known.
yeah,
Quite Asian, academic, predictable, live by the book, double degree, corporate, marry someone, 2.5 kids, 2.5 properties, yada yada. Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was saying goodbye to that. That's all.
Wow.
That's the life I've ever known.
God.
And so when I resigned, it was bankrupting that idea.
Yeah.
And I still remember one of the partners that were there pulled me into a meeting room and said, "Oh, I've had you resigned. Is there anything that we're doing? Da 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 da." And I shared with him how what I saw, and I'm like, one more day here means one mistake discovery. And then he stopped and he stared into space for a little bit. And then he said, "Actually, Faye, go do it."
Wow.
Said, "Because I'm now married, I've got kids, I've got a mortgage, they've got school fees,
Yeah.
and I can't leave here."
That's amazing.
Right? So he said, "Go do it."
God.
Go, because if I had left and discovered 2 years down the track I really didn't like whatever life I was doing, I could come back or find
Exactly.
another corporate role somewhere. Like it's not that
Exactly.
hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that was a pivotal moment. That's the first one back in
Wow.
2004, 5. And then the second moment was I was on maternity leave where, well, from the place you and I both worked at,
Yeah.
maternity leave, and I had started a small budgeting sort of coaching thing, and it wasn't going well. And I thought I'll just go back to work. I was
Yeah.
telling my husband about it. I'll just go back to work. I'll just go back to work, and he goes, "No, you're not." He goes, I can see you in business and you must give this a red hot go. I'll go out and get all the other different jobs. Because at that time, he'd left corporate as well. And so
Okay.
he was working about 2 or 3 part-time roles just to sustain the family.
Wow.
And I had a small part-time job, like a 8-hour week thing, plus
Yeah.
the budgeting thing, plus I was a new mum.
Yeah.
Um, so it was his backing, his stand for me that he said, no, you're not going back. So that was another pivotal moment.
Yeah.
So, but took him saying, no, don't. We'll somehow make it work. And
Yeah.
we have, like, it's been difficult.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I've been on the couch crying a few times. This is back when my son was like 3 or 4. And I'm going, what's wrong with us? And given the budgeting background, I'm just going, why are we dipping into my son's account just to make sure that we're above zero at that
Yeah.
time? And I'm going, we're great individuals. We can go get work out there, but we were really committed to this path.
Yeah.
And so it took everything not to go back out and work
Yep.
9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
It took everything to go, all right, let's just buckle down, somehow find something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the universe delivers.
Yeah. And it always does if you persist with it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But it takes you going through your own gauntlet.
Absolutely. And and I think this is really good to highlight because I know again, speak to a lot of women who are like, "Oh, my business is just not working. Like there must be something wrong with me or maybe it's I'm not meant to be doing it."
Ah,
So they
yep.
really throw it in too easily. And I think that, it's so important to highlight and normalize that yeah, like there are going to be points where you're going to feel like you'll be brought to your knees. The number of sleepless nights that I've had where I'm just like, am I doing the right thing? Would it be easier to go back and get a job?
Yep.
And so those fears and those thoughts are very, very real.
Yes.
But they really
Mm.
make you who you are, don't they?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then you just have to keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
Like, because it's almost like there's nobody else. No one else is
exactly.
coming. Like,
Yeah.
not a regular, consistent 9 to 5 fortnightly pay. None of that's coming.
Yeah.
You
It's not
got to
like when
do
you
it.
call up sick to a job, there's someone to cover for you. It doesn't happen in your business.
No, none at all. And so,
Yeah.
and even, yeah, so you learn to deal with your own mindset very quickly.
Yeah.
You learn to, um, sort of, you have to master the discipline of just putting yourself out there,
Yes.
which I do. Like, even on the days I don't feel like it, you still turn up.
Yep. And even when it's looking like nothing's happening or it's looking like you're not getting results, you've just got to
Yeah,
continue doing it.
keep going. Just keep
Yeah.
going. I've had clients go to me, oh, they've reached out and they go, oh, I've been following you for 2 years. I'm like, who
Yeah.
are you? I've
Yeah.
never seen a like. I've never seen a blah, blah, blah. I've never seen a message, nothing. I've been following you for 2 years. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I took 2 years of me just blindly broadcasting myself,
Yeah.
right? And then hoping that it'll fuel the pipeline somehow. And it
Yeah.
does.
It
And
does.
then I get this feedback.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's
it.
that, it's the blind faith, the trust, the
Yeah.
discipline. Because by the time your body gets used to the discipline of the action, then the action is just the action.
Yes.
You don't have to be, a mess about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's also, about trusting that those little moves that you're making every single day are actually compounding, even though you can't see it at the time. And I liken that as well to, like someone who's on a weight loss journey, right? They might, lose just tiny, tiny little bits each day, but they can't actually see it in the mirror until
Yeah,
one day they're like, oh, wow, okay, now I can see what I've really done and what all those
exactly.
changes were actually leading to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll reach a set point as well. You heard about a set point?
No, no.
So you might lose a certain amount of weight, which happens a lot in patterns, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like the thermometer is set at 22 degrees,
Yeah.
right? And you're losing weight, you're losing weight, you're losing weight. And the thermometer, use the analogy, is
Yeah.
down to 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And you're like, great, I look great, I feel great. I'll take my foot off the pedal a little bit, but I'll keep going with it, right? But then your programming goes, yeah, no, the thermometer's set at 22 degrees, mate. Let's go back up.
Yep.
That's where safety is, and that's where survival is. Let's go back up to 22 degrees.
Yep.
That's core set point.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when you're trying to bust through your own ceiling or your own set point in terms of your physicality,
Yep.
that will be there.
Yeah.
That's why people would yo-yo a lot, because as much as they try all these, 6-week challenges, blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and keep doing it without the accountability, they don't bust through the set point.
Yeah. And the same thing with business,
Yep.
and I, again, like speak to a lot of women who are like, oh, I had this really good program launch when I was working with a coach. And then I took my foot off the pedal and I stopped working with the coach. And now nothing's happening. Now I don't know what to do. Right. It's like they've
Yep.
returned to what they know and that
Yes.
point of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that 22 degrees can come down to 20 degrees.
Yes.
But then you got to do the unhooking work. And that's where for me, tapping comes in. Because as much as you've got strategies and a coach there to help you and accountability there as well, but once you reach that point, you actually need the rewiring. Because otherwise, that invisible ceiling is going to be there at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. I would just love to sort of end on any words of wisdom that you would have for somebody who is feeling like things are a little bit tough in their business right now. Maybe they're not getting the results that they want. They're feeling like it's tough to show up and really be who they are. What would you say to them?
Smile and dial.
Yes, I love that.
That was the training I got back at Landmark, and I worked on staff at Landmark, and the amount of phone calls I made, like seriously, and it says smile and dial. You just have to keep going. Smile and dial. Smile, dial, right? And these days, not dialing. It's the emails, and might be a phone call, might be a message, might be a post, might be turning up to a networking meeting. Like smile and dial.
Yeah.
And in the face of the numbers not showing you that it's even worthy of showing up, or in the face of I've got an empty day. What's the point of this?
Yep.
In the face of your husband going to you, oh, you should think about a part-time job.
Yeah.
I've had all that before.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Or in the face of your girlfriends asking you, oh, how's it going? You're confiding in them, and they try and give you a solution, which is like, oh, why don't you get a part-time role?
Yep.
Right. So there's all these circumstances and opinions and judgments outside of you that you're immersed in because of the environment. But if you're committed to taking this on, you just have to keep smiling and diving.
Absolutely. And I think as well, knowing that, like, even if you're dialing, right, and you're getting some no's on the other end of the phone, every single no that you get is closer to a yes, is one step closer to a yes. I remember learning that in the corporate world.
Yep, exactly.
And it's so true, isn't it? It's so true.
Yeah. You just have to, that's the persistence, that's the grit. Yeah. It's not an easy game. It really isn't.
No.
And that's the grit that it takes. It's not for the faint-hearted, for sure.
Absolutely. But if you desire it, I honestly believe that it's meant for you. So smile and dial, head down, bum up.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Do the tapping, do the coaching, do the accountability, like just holding yourself to account, because something will turn out. It has to. It's just a law of physics.
Exactly. Yeah, it just has to. Can you let everyone know as well where they can find you on socials, where you hang out?
Yep, sure. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Beautiful.
And my handle is Living Well with Fay, and Fay without the E.
Yes. I'll link it in the notes as well.
Yeah, you can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, just Fay Chan.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the main 3 places I hang out.
Beautiful. Thank you. I loved this conversation so much. It was such a pleasure to chat with you.
My pleasure, Carly. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.